Man, oh man, this show is showing some old Trek, but it's the new Trek that I think we've got to worry about. As always, I'm Al, this is the Geek in Review, and I'm going to be talking about Star Trek Discovery Season 4, Episode 6. Now, first of all, how big are Michael's quarters? Because I know this show has had some problems with scale. If you look at the whole turbo lift fight last season, for example, they can never get internal scale right. It's the same with the new bar. Look at how high the ceiling is. It seems that they've got endless room to discover on board Discovery. But that's just a little personal gripe and got nothing too much to do with the story. Now, we do get some answers on the DMA or the anomaly after last week, and they're going into the rift that's been left behind. But Book, for some reason, wants to explore outside the Federation for answers, which, yeah, kind of makes sense, but at the same time, where do you start? Like, the Federation was unimaginably huge by the time of the burn, and yeah, I don't get that line. It didn't make any sense to me. It was sort of a thing that someone says and then goes, oh, I shouldn't have said that, that was really stupid. But yeah, I'll get back to that in a second. But the mission this week is the crew has to go into the void or the rift to investigate the effects of subspace that the DMA has left behind. And this is probably the most classic Trek episode Discovery has ever done. I mean, it felt so much like TNG or TOS. It blew my mind and I loved it. Well, I loved most of it. There's some stuff that I'll get to that I didn't enjoy, but the characters and the teamwork and everything was absolutely fantastic. One of the few things missing was a Jet Reno, but you throw a Jet Reno into any situation, it always gets about 15% better. That's just my opinion. And it also did remind me of early Discovery as well, especially that walk and talk with Michael and Saru going down the corridor. I think it was the third episode of Discovery in Season 1 when Saru's eating the berries and he basically meets up with Michael and catches her up on what's been going on with Starfleet and the Federation while she's been in prison. And I loved it. You know, Discovery has its ups and downs. I'm not hugely in love with the show, but what they do with the characters, especially Saru, is absolutely brilliant. And I love always looking forward to Saru. Let's spend more time with him. But a character that we are getting more time with this episode is Zora, who's popping up a lot. And I don't know how I feel about this, because Calypso was now so long ago, and it's raised so many questions about how this will even fit in, because the structure and the physicality of the ship is now completely different. They went to the 31st century and they've got, you know, programmable matter and levitating the cells, and that's fine and it looks great, but the ship that was in Calypso doesn't look like that. So I wonder how they're going to address that, and I wonder why they're bringing it back in, because the showrunner that came up with that idea is now long since gone. So however they were going to tie it into Discovery, I don't think that's the way it's going to get tied in now. And I don't know if I just don't know where the payoff is going to be with this Zora thing. It's because the ship is Discovery, but the ship is now also Zora. But they call the ship Zora, but also refer to the ship as Discovery. And also, one thing that I realised in this episode is when Zora appears on the bridge, Bryce is quite shocked about, oh, this is Zora, so she doesn't talk to all of the crew, she only talks to some of the crew. And yeah, I don't know, man. I think I'm going to have to do a little video on this Zora thing because it's bothering me a little bit. And with Zora, where he sort of goes hand in hand with Grey, and yeah, considering Grey's back from the dead, once they brought him back from the dead and gave him his own body, it was just, okay, cool, this is it, and they're not really doing much for this character at all now. If you've watched my videos before, you know that I don't like Grey, and this episode basically sums up why they've ran out of things for the character to do, so much so that they spend the entire episode just talking to the computer, and yeah, it's not a great sign. Like, I think Grey is one of these things that they've set up and not paid off. Adira, I still like. They've not given Adira as much to do as I would have liked this season, but we've still got about 6 or 7 episodes to go on that one. So the ship enters the eye of the storm and gets trapped there. It's a sort of null space or nothing space or void. They can't detect anything other than sort of nothing, which, as someone points out, the fact that they can detect nothing means that there must be something there, if that makes sense, but that's a whole other argument. But Adira does think that there's something out there, it's just something that they don't understand, and yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. They launch a probe and it gets pretty much destroyed. And there's a lot of Trek episodes that have this thing of, you know, the ship disappearing into an unknown space. Next Generation, where silence is least. Voyager done the void. They also done chaotic space. I think Deep Space Nine's the only one that didn't really touch on this whole sort of void or empty space thing. But I like it. It's when you get everyone cut off and it's, what are we going to do? We've just got the resources on the ship. And that's what made this episode work, and that's what made this episode so strong. But Adira thinks that one of the side effects of the DMA is that subspace is now contaminated. And because it's a problem that they have to solve, the crew get to put their heads together, and it's great, you know, where everyone says this, but we're 4 seasons in, and about halfway through the 4th season, and we've still not got a lot of the crew. Detmore, Owo, Bryce, Reese, all that stuff. And Owo does get a little bit to do here, and she's got a new haircut, which looks absolutely fantastic if you ask me. But I don't get why she dropped that story on Saru. It was like last week with Reese dropping the story about his sort of traumatic childhood. Does everyone in Starfleet now have to have some sort of terrible emotional secret or emotional pain? Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of that, and I do love Owo. But to get out of the void, they try and jump, and it doesn't work. It seems as if they're even cut off from the mycelial network. And Book gets a bit of a zap and starts to see his dad, and his dad calls him out in a lot of things. One, his name. Now, it was sort of promised at the end of season 3 that we'd find out how Booker got his name, but with Quajon gone and all this anomaly stuff, I don't see how they're going to fit it in this season, so it might be a bit of a long burner. But yeah, Book's dad is a total dick in this episode. Zora detects that there's something penetrating the hull, and it's actually the void sort of contracting, so it's coming down. It's basically bringing the ship down round about the crew's ears. In the 31st century, you do see a crewman, sorry, I'm skipping a bit ahead there, you see a crewman who gets killed by a decompression, and given the fact it's the 31st century, shouldn't they have more, better technology? Because the way that this guy died is exactly the same as the way that the guy died in the first few episodes of Discovery. I can't remember the lieutenant's name, but he came back in the Mirrorverse episodes, and yeah, surely they've come up with a better way to save crewmen in corridors by now. But Zora does come up with a plan to get the crew out of it. Basically, they have to not hide, but I suppose store themselves in the transport pattern buffer. And this has been done loads of times, from Next Generation, from when Scotty saved himself, to that Voyager episode with the telepaths, where they hid the telepaths in transport pattern buffer. And it worked, and it was all good, and it was all tight, and it was all brilliant Trek up until this point, because for some reason Michael has to stay out of the transport buffer to guide the ship. But she doesn't guide the ship, she just sits in the captain's chair and kind of talks to Zora. And this is when Zora starts singing, and yeah. You're trying to put 3-minute musical sections into your episode. It just reminds me of like the end of Grey's Anatomy when they do that to try and pull the old heartstrings. I don't think it really worked, and I hope we're not going to get it again. But yeah, the whole Zora thing, man, I'm not too keen on that, because why would you want a computer that doesn't obey you all the time? That doesn't make any sense. What if the crew need to do something that Zora doesn't agree with? Is she just going to shut the ship down, or jump it, or, you know, turn oxygen off till the crew agree to do what she wants to do? But yeah, she's the kind of worst Google assistant that you never want. But the thing that we do find out from the end of this episode is that whatever's causing this is from beyond the Milky Way, so that's beyond our galaxy, beyond the Alpha Quadrant, Beta Quadrant, all that stuff going into Voyager territory. And yeah, I hope we do get to see this. I hope Discovery jumps to beyond the Milky Way galaxy, because we know that other areas of space, like fluidic space, exist, but we don't really know where it is or how it intersects with our galaxy. And I'd like to see something, you know, this is the Trek's opportunity to show us something that we've never seen before. We're at the level of effects that they can easily do this. And again, the effects in this episode were brilliant, as they have been all season, despite what I might bash the show. But I'm interested to see literally where this is going to go. Where are they going to take this ship to solve this problem, and who's behind it? I've got a few theories on this. I think that one was maybe there might have been a Starfleet exploration mission that was stuck beyond the Milky Way, and maybe the DMA or the anomaly is a side effect of them trying to get home, because it doesn't seem like a deliberate weapon. It's not targeting anywhere or anything specifically, and any damage it's doing doesn't seem to have a sort of end goal. So I think it might be someone that's stuck out there on the fringe that's trying to get home. Could it be time travel? Probably. I hope not. They've done that already, so they can't really afford to do it again. I think the next episode is going to give us quite a few explanations, or at least I hope it is, because the DMA, when they're on these episodes, it's fine, but we're 6 episodes in now and we still don't really know much, so we need more. But generally, I really like this episode up until the bit they decide to put everyone in the transport pattern buffer. Like I said, it felt like absolutely brilliant, classic Trek. Teamwork, coming up against an obstacle and then coming out on the other side. Although the ship does get badly damaged, it does come out on the other side. And yeah, I think this is maybe the best episode of Discovery this season. Certainly the best one in a while. But let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think is happening with the DMA? Who's causing it? Or you can follow me on Twitter at The Geeks Reviews. My name's Al, as always, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll get this video up before the end of the year, so I hope you all have a great new year. And I said that in my last video, but thank you to every single person that's watched even a second of my videos, and thank you so much to people that are subscribed and leave likes on the videos as well. You don't know how much it means to me as I continue to build the channel, and I'm going to keep going, despite how good or bad Star Trek Discovery does.